Hey gang, Mark Sweeney here from Austin Dental Spa in Austin, Texas. If you've been tuning in on other Wednesdays, you know this is what we call Wisdom Wednesday. And this is the first one of 2023. So welcome. If you've never joined in before, we do a little scientific topic, usually something to do with teeth, although not always to do with leading a healthy lifestyle. And then I give a health tip at the end. And we try to have a little fun with it while we're doing that. We also pick a theme every month. And the theme this month is Jumpstart January. I wish I had some jump starters for a car, but I didn't want to go down to my trunk and dig them out. So jumper cables is what I was trying to think of. Anyway, we're going to jumpstart January starting today with some interesting info, and it kind of segues into the holidays we've just been through: Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's, particularly New Year's. Hope everybody had a good New Year's. Happy New Year. And we're going to talk about wine teeth today. And it is a thing. I actually researched it all the way back to, there was an article in Wine Spectator magazine just in the last 2 years about the phenomenon of wine teeth. We're going to talk about where does it come from and what can you do about it, because that's the important thing. So we're going to kick it off with wine teeth, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. If you drink red wine, you're particularly more susceptible, but white wine has its part in this too, and I'll get to that in a minute. If you drink red wine, there's three things in red wines that can cause problems. They're called anthocyanins. Those are the chemicals that give red wine its red color. The tannins, which have the acidity, which also have a stickiness to them that helps the wine particles bind to the outsides of your teeth. And then the overall acidity in wine. Wines are usually at a pH level of 3 to 3.5, maybe 4 in the so-called non-acidic wines. Now, our bodies are a pH of 7.4. That's what our bodies consider a neutral pH. You get higher than that in your alkaline, you get lower than that, like sulfuric acid is down at about a pH of 1. So that gives you some perspective on it. Wines are acidic. And there's controversy in the dental world, even as of today, as to whether the acidity in wine is enough to etch the enamel of your teeth. But it potentially can, and of course there are so many variables: the individual human and the density of their enamel, how much wine you consume, whether it's red or white. But there are some general things that we have found that can mitigate this. Here's a few tips to prevent wine teeth. First of all, brush your teeth before you drink red wine, particularly red wine. Brush your teeth first, because the plaque that tends to build up on our teeth through the day, that kind of fuzzy taste you can get, especially if you're not a regular brusher and you don't brush every day, you're going to get, we always laughingly call them little mittens on your teeth, especially this time of the year with winter coming. People get that analogy, but they feel kind of soft and fuzzy. Its plaque is made up of dried up saliva, of food particles, and of bacteria that attach to it. And it's the kind of stuff that you can reach up with your finger and scrape right along the gum line, and if something comes off under your gum line, that's plaque. So it's got bacteria in it, it's got food particles in it, as I said, and it's got just dried up saliva. So it's a sticky, gooey substance. If you drink something red, really any kind of colored substance, we tell people if it would stain a white shirt, it potentially can stain your teeth. But the plaque absorbs that stuff more so than the actual enamel of your teeth. So if you've got plaque on your teeth, you're more likely to suffer from wine teeth after drinking red wine. So if you brush your teeth before you drink red wine, you're less likely to have any kind of staining, whether temporary or permanent. So that helps. But a caveat to that, don't brush your teeth immediately after drinking wine because, especially if you've consumed several glasses of wine, that acidity in the wine potentially can etch the enamel. Even if it's a temporary thing, your enamel is going to be a little weaker, and brushing immediately after, especially with a whitening toothpaste, those same two people tend to go together, and you brush with an abrasive toothpaste, you are potentially likely over time to damage your enamel. So don't brush immediately after, brush like an hour before. Secondly, and this was an interesting one for me, I verified this through several sources, white wines tend to be a little more acidic than red wines, down towards the 3.0 pH, whereas red wines are more 3.5 to 4.0. So they are minimally, but they are more acidic. So if you drink white wine before you drink red wine, the theory is that the white wine is going to etch your enamel more than the red wine would. And I don't think we're talking one glass of each here or there. We're talking about daily wine consumers. But every wine connoisseur that I've ever met has all their teeth, and they drink wine every day, kind of for a living. So, you got to take this with a grain of salt. There are other things out there that are much more acidic than red or white wine. Dr. Pepper, most soft drinks, Mountain Dew especially is particularly acidic. So all those Jolt Colas and the energy drinks tend to have a lot of acidity. Plus they've got caffeine and sugar in them. So you got to take this, in a logical, sensible way. Number 3, after drinking red wine, it's a good idea to swish with water. Don't brush, but swish with water, because the water dilutes the acidity and it stimulates your salivary flow. So both those things help wash the red wine away from your teeth. Number 4, chewing food also helps with this. We talked about that last week and the week before, about if you're at holiday parties and you're drinking wine, eat a piece of cheese. Cheddar cheese has just the right consistency to kind of create friction down the side of your teeth as you're biting into it and chewing it. Plus, again, it stimulates the saliva, so it's going to dilute the red wine, and the thickness of the cheese is potentially going to wipe the plaque off of your teeth, at least temporarily. So that's why they serve wine and cheese. And if somebody figured this stuff out a long time ago. Basically, like I've said, anything that can stain a white shirt potentially can stain your teeth. So it's not just wines, it's dark colored berries, coffee, tomato juice, all those kind of things. So what else can you do about it besides those 4 things that I just went through? Zoom whitening. We've been doing 2 or 3 a day since the holidays started, really since Thanksgiving. People coming in, all age groups, wanting to whiten their teeth. I tell people jokingly, it's the only way you're going to get a white Christmas in Austin. Then 2 years ago, February of 2021, I got proven wrong. We got a white February, but not a white Christmas. So if you want to whiten your teeth, it's an 1.5 hour long process by Zoom whitening. The vast majority of people get 6 to 8 shades lighter, and so we like that. That's the way to get a white Christmas. And I can give you an example. The next step beyond Zoom whitening would be veneering. Here's my friend Marty. This is a good idea or example of how veneers can help you have a more beautiful smile. She went from that to that, and that is a beautiful smile. My friend David, another perfect example. He and his brother got into the fashion industry, and he was hanging out in New York a lot, and he wanted a beautiful white smile. And that was over 10 years ago, and he loves it. He smiles bigger than he ever did before. So my simple health tip would be whiten your teeth. Whether it's the in-office Zoom whitening or the at-home. The strips don't tend to work all that well, but it's a good way to start off the year. Give yourself a little confidence boost, whitening your teeth. Also, I do this about every 3 months. Change the heads on your toothbrush. If you've got a Sonic toothbrush, either an Oral-B or a Sonic Air, it's cheap to go to the pharmacy, buy. They usually come 3 heads to a packet. you should be changing them every couple of months. If your toothbrush bristles used to be like that and now they're like that, it's time to change your toothbrush bristles. If you've changed to a new head and you go, whoa, that's like getting a brand new toothbrush, it was time. So take that into account. That'll help knock the plaque off so you're not as susceptible to the dreaded wine teeth. And I hope that's been helpful information. I hope your 2023 is off to a good start. I'll see you next week for another episode of Wisdom Wednesday, where we'll help you jumpstart January.